From beautiful weather in Colorado to a wet morning spent on the side of the highway troubleshooting, our 1,700-mile trek home has started on somewhat rocky footing. Our last day here in Salida, Colorado is met with a beautiful sunrise, and our 3-week road trip back home started with some preparations the day before, like refilling the propane, cleaning the inside of the rig, and packing up as much as we could so we can leave early in the morning. But now, coffee is over and it's time to get moving. Checkout is at 11 a.m., so the propane and all the slides needs to be closed and the fittings need a little grease before hitting the road. After that, it's time to hitch up, take one last look, and say goodbye. The Crossroads of the Rockies is a place you should add to your travel destinations, and I can't think of a bad time of the year to visit. From rafting, hiking, horseback riding, to mountain biking, you will have plenty to do when you come. So today's leg looks like 500 miles to our planned rest stop, crossing through New Mexico, Texas, and resting once we finally hit the border of western Oklahoma. But just getting out of Colorado is a good 100 miles of the trip today, and Highway 69 cruises along the beautiful Rocky Mountain Ridge for at least half of the ride before putting us off at an intersection to head on down into New Mexico. So even though we still have about a half tank left, we're gonna go ahead and get gas because it looks pretty sparse out here. And in one of our previous videos where we only had like 28 or 29 miles to E, yeah, we learned from that. So we're gonna get gas every time we can. Once out of the Rockies, it's nothing but open roads and prairies passing by, and after a few hours, we make it past through New Mexico into the panhandle of Texas on our way down to Amarillo, where we start to see our first signs of trouble in the sky. Before it starts raining, it's time to stretch your legs and let the pups potty. After all, 6 hours of driving will make anyone a little restless. Soon after, we hit rain for the first time in over 2 months. And it's time to start looking for our first real meal of the day, which you already knew was going to be a Chick-fil-A somewhere. I think this is the first meal we've had of true substance.
It's not that healthy, but it's something.
After dinner and getting some gas, it's time to make our last stretch of the drive for the night to the Oklahoma Welcome Center, where we plan on spending the night. We are set to arrive around 10:45 after 12 hours on the road, which I'm really needing a break from all this driving. But here's where the plot thickens. The rest stop is full of truckers and other RVers, and we have nowhere to park. So we blew past our rest stop for the night, and I think it's about another 100 miles or so till we get to our next one. Stop, get gas, and just keep on moving. So what's next? We pull over for a bit, attempt to find our next rest stop, which is 80 miles down the road and adds another hour to the trip, and we finally hit the road. The next morning, we wake up to a dead battery in the truck because last night we spent it on the side of the highway and left the hazards on all night, which drained the battery. With no other options, I remember we have 2 good batteries in the RV that might have enough juice to jump us off just once. But if this doesn't work, I guess we'll finally have to break into our roadside assistance plan. But fortunately, it was just enough to do the job.
In case you ever wonder if you can jump start with an RV battery, you can. Now, is it the best thing? Probably not. First night sleeping on the road.
It was
Lovely.
10 out of 10. Do it again.
She can do it again. I was near the side of the road, so every time a transfer truck would pass, which was like every minute or so. This is where we slept, right here on the side of the road. I-40,
Mile marker 110.
Oklahoma.
All right, so while Jess is in there getting some Starbucks, I want to talk to you guys real quick about more about last night. Why we couldn't find a spot to sleep in, while we had to end up sleeping on the side of a little highway. Very uncomfortable, by the way. Before we set out this weekend, we researched some rest stops that was in Oklahoma, and one that's particularly that would get us past Texas and the beginning of Oklahoma, which would be a good stopping point for the day. And that was the one that we stopped at first. Way too packed, way too busy for our liking. It actually had no spots for RVs. It was all taken up by the trucks. So we thought we could make it to another one, and then the other one was closed. And we actually rode around, tried to make a U-turn because we thought we had missed it at first, but then it turns out that the rest stop was just closed. So we ended up having to just, at almost near 2 o'clock in the morning, just pulling over and finding somewhere to sleep on the side of the highway. As you can probably tell by my stammering, we're both a little tired and ready to get there. With only about 3 hours left, the only thing we need to do now is fill up on gas one last time. I am not gonna lie to you guys, it has been a very long travel weekend and I am looking forward to getting set up. The roads getting here were pretty rough. I'm a little nervous, honestly, to take a peek inside the RV, see what it looks like. And so far it has been no sleep. Likely we're gonna get there a little early today, probably around 1 p.m., which is early for us. So that'll be nice, but we only have about, I would say 90 miles, 80 miles left or so, somewhere around there, until we get there. But it's so wet. It's a wet and dreary day, like it's gonna rain all day and most of this week. The RV park we found for the week is called Lake Hideaway in Heavener, Oklahoma, which, when we booked it, it seemed like a smaller RV park tucked away in eastern Oklahoma. And when we had a chance to catch up with the hosts, we learned that this place is fairly new, only about 2 years old. So we finished up outside and now we're working on the inside, which is, to me, the scariest part, because once we open up this fridge and open up that pantry, it's just like Pandora's box. You don't know what you're gonna get. So, what do you think, Jess?
I already see that the door is open.
Kind of cracked. We have broken so many shelves this year.
Oh.
And it's already hung. That means something's blocking it somehow.
Yeah, let me open up the freezer.
How's the freezer looking?
Freezer looks fine. All right.
There's a few down shelves. This is what it typically looks like. And looks like one of the shelves in the door had fallen. So we're all set for the week, and now we've got to go get some groceries, so we'll see you in a minute. Well, if you're wondering why it's called Lake Hideaway, well, now you know. We almost didn't even see it until we brought the drone up, as it's located on the other end of a dense cattail thicket. But I'm glad the weather cleared up just enough for me to bring the drone up for a bit. But I think the main thing for this weekend that I took away was to have like a plan A, B, and C. Whenever you're trying to get your routing right, wherever you want to stay over, but if you're not going to make it all in one day, just where you want to stay over at night, because we did that. I had plan A, and the plan A was full by the time we got there, and then plan B was closed. So we were forced on the side of the highway, and I don't want to have to go through that again. Something else that I was thinking about today while we were on the way here was how weird it feels to be this close to North Carolina, my home state, again. We haven't been this close since, January, when we first made our trek down to Big Bend, Texas. As we'll be here until Saturday, then we'll make another 850-mile trek to Georgia. So this is going to be a 3-part series of us making it back home for the first time in a year. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you haven't already, give a subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next week as we release weekly videos every single Sunday. So we'll check back in on part 2 next week of where we're going to be in Georgia.